All right, so if you're a fan of Hospital Playlist, get ready. We are heading back to the beloved halls of J Medical Center. But hold on, this isn't the story you think you know. We're diving into a brand new spin-off, and this time it's all about a fresh generation of doctors just starting their journey. And let me tell you, it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be heartfelt, and it's absolutely life-changing. And really, this one question is what drives the whole show. You know, it's a conflict that I think we can all relate to, right? No matter what you do for a living. How on earth do you balance that all-consuming pressure of your career with the simple human need to just live your life? So yeah, for fans of the original, the setting, it's gonna feel like coming home. But the perspective, totally different. We're not following the seasoned experts anymore. Nope. We are zooming all the way in on the super intense, super chaotic world of first-year OBGYN residents. It's like we're seeing this place we thought we knew from a whole new angle, right from the ground floor. So let's get into it. What exactly forges these young doctors? We're going to start inside, what you could call the medical crucible. And I mean, this is a world where every single decision they make is a massive deal. Okay, so if you really want to get what makes this show tick, you got to look at its DNA. It's basically built on three big ideas. First, you've got the sheer intensity of the medical training and patient care. Second, there's all the camaraderie and, yeah, the tension that bubbles up between these young doctors. And finally, it has that signature emotional storytelling style we know and love. We're going to break it all down, starting with that first pillar, the insane pressure of the job. And this isn't just, a setting for the story. It is a relentless force that shapes every single character. You can practically feel it in the frantic energy of the hospital hallways, the lightning-fast decisions they have to make, and just the constant stream of challenges they're up against. Honestly, the pressure itself is like a main character in the show. So, to really get what they're going through, you have to know what a resident actually is. I mean, they've finished medical school, so they're not students anymore, but they aren't full-blown specialists either. They're stuck in this super demanding in-between phase, learning on the job in a place where, let's be real, the stakes are literally life and death every single day. So what does that intensity really look like day to day? Well, think about it. First, you're just trying to navigate the pure chaos of the hospital. Then, you're suddenly facing these critical patient cases. All the while, you're supposed to be learning and soaking up information under this immense pressure. And on top of everything, you're juggling a million other demands. It's a lot. And, dropping the ball, not really an option. But here's the thing. Nobody can handle that kind of pressure by themselves. And that's where the show really finds its heart. It's not always in the operating room. It's in those little quiet moments they manage to find in between all the crises. That's where we get to see the real stuff. The friendships, the rivalries, even the romances start to unfold. I mean, just imagine it. You take a bunch of ambitious, brilliant, and completely exhausted people, and you stick them all together in this pressure cooker of a hospital. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to get this really complex mix of relationships. You'll see these incredibly deep friendships form, for sure. But that same high-stress environment, it's also the perfect breeding ground for rivalry and tension. And this really brings us right back to that core conflict we talked about. It's this constant push and pull. On one side, you've got the job, with its grueling hours, nonstop emergencies, and just so much pressure. But on the other side, you have these fundamental human needs, right? Friendship, maybe finding some romance, just connecting with people. The whole story really lives and breathes in that space right between those two worlds. And if you look at how the show actually spends its time, you can see this balance perfectly. Yeah, the medical challenges are the biggest chunk, about 45%. But look at the rest. Friendship and camaraderie take up 30%, and romance and tension another 25%. So more than half the show is actually about their personal lives. It's all about the relationships that make all that intense work not just something you can get through, but something that actually has meaning. Okay, so we've got the crazy medical trauma, we've got the complicated relationships, but what's the glue holding it all together? What makes us actually care? Well, that's what we're talking about next, the show's resonant heart. It's this really special way of telling the story that makes people connect with it so deeply. This right here, this is the secret sauce. It's that signature style that it gets from the whole Playlist universe. It's a kind of storytelling that doesn't always go for the big, flashy, dramatic moments. Instead, it focuses on the little things, the small moments, the quiet looks, the deep emotional truths that happen in between. And that right there is probably the most important thing to get about this show. Yes, it's set in a hospital, but the hospital isn't really what the story is about. The real story is the emotional growth of these characters. We're there to watch them grow up, basically, to see them make mistakes, learn to lean on each other, and slowly, piece by piece, figure out who they're meant to be, not just as doctors, but as people. So, how does it build that connection with us? Well, it comes down to a few key ingredients. First, their struggles just feel relatable, even though they're in this wild setting. Second, the relationships feel real, like they've actually been earned. And because of those two things, the emotional stakes feel super high. We end up caring just as much about whether they can save a friendship as we do about whether they can save a patient. So when you boil it all down, what do you have? You have a series that's just brilliant at blending that high-stakes medical drama with these really heartfelt human stories that pretty much anyone can connect with. It perfectly captures that chaotic, overwhelming feeling of starting a tough new career, but it also celebrates the friendships and the romance that help us get through it all. And it does all of this with that signature warmth that made the original Playlist series such a huge hit around the world. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world that's just packed with constant crisis and pressure, the show seems to be saying that home isn't necessarily a physical place. It's more of a feeling, right? It's something that's created by the people you can count on, the people you lean on. And that's a pretty powerful idea to think about in our own lives, isn't it? When things get crazy for us, what is it or who is it that truly makes us feel at home?